everybody, it's Christy Birchfield. We are continuing to look through the book of Joshua, and we have such amazing stuff going through. We're in chapter 5, and if we look through this, we started the chapter yesterday with a really key and important verse, and I'm just going to kind of remind it to you that the people around Israel has just crossed over the Jordan into the promised land. And they've removed kind of that natural barrier or protection that they would have between them and all of their enemies. So they're right there. It'd be easy for enemies to come and invade them. And it says, yesterday we saw in verse 1 how the enemies were terrified of Israel. They had been completely undone with the fact that, oh my gosh, they just crossed over those flooded Jordan on dry land. We can't understand that. It's amazing. And so that really sets the stage when you think about the fact that now they're right there. Their enemies, like I said, they could come attack them. That natural barrier between them and their enemies is gone. So what do the Israelites do? Well, they start preparing for worship. They have to make themselves right. And to do that, they go back through and they circumcise all the men because they hadn't been doing that while they've been wandering around in the desert. And they do celebrate the festival of Passover. Now think about this. Circumcision, decently invasive surgery in terms of, for that day and time. There's recovery time required. And you taking all of your soldiers, all of your fighting men, and performing this ceremony, this surgery. And it says that they have to take time and recover. What an incredible testimony of the faith that God was going to protect them, to put themselves in what would seemingly be a vulnerable position, so close to their enemies, and yet choose to do this as a way to follow God and continue to prepare to worship Him. It makes no logical sense to celebrate a big festival and perform this type of ceremony and surgery this close to your enemies. And that's what I think is so incredibly neat about what God does. It doesn't have to make logical sense. Sometimes the way God works things, it doesn't make logical sense. Majority is not always right with these kinds of things. God is the majority, and when He is saying this is where we should go and what we should do, His vote trumps everything. Verse 9, Joshua says, Then the Lord said to Joshua, Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you. So the place has been called Gilgal to this day. That's the name of the place where they did these things. They showed their faith in God to be their protector, to be their provider. He was their everything. And they were demonstrating it in a very real and tangible way in this ceremony and in this celebration. Do we trust God that way? Do we recognize it may not make logical sense what God is asking us to do? We may look at this and go, wow, I don't even know how. I don't even know how this is going to work. God does. And if we are willing to follow Him and willing to obey Him through every area, we will see His protection, because that's why yesterday's session was so incredibly important. God put fear in the hearts of all of their enemies. That they didn't attack them. They didn't attack them. God took care of that. What is God taking care of in your life? How are we needing to continue to prep and to be ready to do whatever God asks us to do, even when it doesn't make completely human logical sense? If you missed those other sessions, there's a link in the description below. It'll take you to the playlist. You can go back and watch through the entire series of Joshua, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks.